You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
Welcome to Overgrow the Radio. It's another Thursday night in the Mile High City, and there's still music in my ears, so I'm just going to keep rambling for a minute. I'm still shopping for a new co-host, but tonight I'm lucky enough to be joined by one of my great sponsors and becoming a good friend, Miss Jessica Asplin. How are you?
Good.
She made the drive all the way down from, were you in Crested Butte today or Craig?
I was in Craig, so I was closer.
Well, that's still a pretty good trek. You guys hit some snow?
Oh, it was horrible. It was whiteout blizzard, and then we're behind a plow, so it's kicking everything up, and I thought death would be a certainty, but luckily I made it.
Luckily. I sent you a text this morning. I didn't realize you guys had other stuff down here. I'm like, my God, if it's bad, don't come. Yeah. It was pretty here. Our roads are fine, of course, but it was beautiful for a while. I came out of one of my many meetings and walked into a winter wonderland, if you will. And we haven't had a lot of snow. A lot of people think Colorado, we get a ton of snow, but, down here we don't. Mm-hmm. In the mountains, it's a different story.
Oh, Crested Butte is crazy.
Yeah,
Every day it dumps. It's stupid.
Colorado Springs, I've lived here a few years now, and that's where I've been mostly. And, a lot of times our temps there are warmer than back where I moved from. So everyone thinks it's freezing here, but it's not. So this week's been interesting. I'm going to bring you in on some news topics, and we'll get your small-town rural opinion on some stuff, if you will.
I'll try my best.
I like to talk about the ripple effect from us legalizing here, and it's happening. And actually, he's ready. Our first story we're going to talk about. My producer Sam's from Pennsylvania, and I've backpacked many times through Pennsylvania, and you can't get good cannabis there. I'll just flat out say it. Maybe somewhere, but I'm still looking for that place. So Sam will be happy about this one. There's a Democratic king out of Prussia there, Senator Dalen Leach. That's weird. King of Prussia. That's the town. Always throws
King
me.
of Prussia.
There you go. Sam will help me on this. And they've introduced a bill there to I guess just legalize. It's not medical, huh?
No, from what I heard, yeah, they want to. I guess because they figure if you legalize it, you're going to help the medical patients, and that's true. That's absolutely true. I think you should have medical laws.
Well, honestly, I think we're going to see a lot of states now that two of us have done it, just skip the step of medical. I mean, that's my opinion. I might be wrong.
I think Philly decrimmed it. They had a SAM program, meant small amount of marijuana. So if you're caught with a small amount, whatever that was, you don't get arrested, you get fined in a 3-hour class.
Right on.
$500 fine.
So they send. Is it like a rehab class?
No, it's a class that says I don't know the class exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was like you shouldn't do drugs in general.
The gist of those
How'd that work for you?
Oh, I didn't go to that. I had probation because I was not caught in Philadelphia. I was caught out of Philly in Pennsylvania. So hopefully they should just make it legal in Pennsylvania.
Those bastards. So you got to make sure you call all your friends tonight after the show and get them out on the campaign trail for this, Sam. We need to make sure this passes. You guys out in PA should call all your reps and senators and tell them to actually do something good for you. So moving on, more ripples. Vermont is the next one on the list that House Bill 200 has been introduced. It was introduced on Tuesday, it looks like. And Vermont, I love Vermont. I almost moved there. It was my number 3. It was Maine, Vermont, or Colorado. And at the time, Colorado was the only one with dispensaries, and we also had a constitutional amendment to protect us. It won. Yeah. Plus, the mountains are bigger, and I've hiked New England so many times at this point that I needed a change. You look like you want to say something over there. We've got our first guest with us in here, but we're going to keep him quiet for a minute. We'll keep him a mystery. Michigan's not good news. Did you hear about this?
I hadn't yet.
The Supreme Court ruled against the case that went to the Supreme Court against a dispensary there, and basically ruled all dispensaries unconstitutional. So, I don't know. Maybe our guest knows. Maybe he might be able to chime in on this one. I don't know if they've taken any action because I've been so busy, and this happened maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. But, the fear out there that I saw online was that, the state police were just going to immediately come in. I mean, they've got a lot. That's a huge industry there now. They've got a lot of dispensaries in Michigan.
I think that would be a shame because a lot of medical patients depend on that. So, I think that would be a great disservice to people who really need the medicine to start doing that. And there's a reason why they have that in their state.
Oh, absolutely.
Will of the people.
I
so
mean,
they trample all over that.
Our buddy in Illinois, he's on here every week. Hey, Dabin. Anybody that calls himself Dabin in Illinois is my friend because I'm from Illinois, and I like the occasional dab, I won't lie. But yeah, I mean, he's their neighbor, and it spreads, and Illinois has tried every year for, 4 or 5 years now, I think, to get something through. I think it just failed again on a special session or something like that. But we'll get there. You'll get there. It'll be legal. And yes, that case does stink, to reiterate that. Medical news. We'll move through sort of quickly, sort of not. I've got some other stuff I want to try to get to. I've actually, the last couple of weeks, not gotten to real news, so I thought we would switch it up tonight and actually address other things besides here in Colorado. There are other places doing things. Police in Arizona, again, was this Supreme Court? A decision in Arizona that basically says they can destroy cannabis there now. That's not good, because what happens then if a patient wins a case, their medicine's gone. I'm sure this is a very brief description of what's going on laying in front of me, but I'm sure, they'll come up with a compensation package. I would think they would have to, but maybe not, and if that's the case, that's even worse. But I mean, if you get your medicine back a couple months down the road, some of it may still be usable. And the thing with that is when you grow your own medicine, a lot of people do it because of money reasons, financial reasons. And, if you can salvage some of that medicine, that helps. The money's great, but you can't, as well as I do, to go to a dispensary, you're not going to get what you lost for that amount of money.
Well, absolutely. And I just feel like that's just bad policy altogether. I have a patient who has 2 different types of brain cancer. And she cultivates her own. And not only is it necessary because of her financial situation with having brain cancer and being unable to work and disabled because of that condition, but it's therapeutic. And so the cultivation of cannabis is beneficial to patients on so many levels. And I just feel like what a shame for them to win their case and then not to be given back what they were,
Well, and here in Colorado, there's case law, I believe, out of Larimer County, where a judge ruled that the police are supposed to keep all of the medicine alive. I mean, in an ideal world, you preserve evidence in any case. I'm going to use Bob Krause's case as an example. But you're worried about fumbling words, whatever. You haven't done radio with me much, have you? Bob Krause's case, it took 2 years, I think, was the total time. And by the time it went to trial, it had been like a year. So, I mean, literally when they pulled the cannabis out in the courtroom, I had to giggle, to myself because it didn't even look like cannabis. It looked like, my pile of weeds at home that I had pulled out months ago. So, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely something that we should be doing. We should take care of the medicine and be able to return it to patients after.
Well, and then I think the thought that comes to their minds is, well, then the cops are supposed to have a grow room and a facility available to keep this medicine cultivated, and in the state it was somewhat closest to when they, took possession of it. The cops are going to have to become growers. I think maybe that's where this type of policy is stemming from. The thought of, well, we don't want the responsibility, the police department cultivating cannabis.
Well, there's a lot of reasons that I've heard them say. That's definitely one of them. They've also talked about it's against federal law, which is such a cop-out because they have an exemption. Cop-out. Literally, by law, they have an exemption to be able to do whatever the hell they want with any drug. So for them to say, like in the Krause case again, it had to go to the appellate court because they said they weren't giving his medicine back because it was against federal law. The same law that lets them take your drugs from you is the same law that lets them give the drugs back to you. Or
Absolutely.
The same measure, whatever. I'm not that legal terminology guy.
It's easily cherry-picked, the laws, and,
And twisted.
It's not to suit the best interest of the people within the community. It's to serve the best interest of the policymakers and the image of the town that they're trying to convey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is an interesting story, I thought. And maybe I'm just quirky and weird, but, well, that's a given. Up in Maine, which we were just talking about, another state that I absolutely love, on Tuesday there was a patient that I guess she was fired from like a staffing firm, and she's actually suing them. She's going after them. They sued her for not giving her the opportunity to be staffed through them. And I'm curious about the details of this. I really want to read more into this case because a staffing agency isn't an employer per se. It's a middleman. And if an employer doesn't have a drug testing policy, I see a basis for this case. Because who are they to say that she has to take a urine test if the end employer doesn't require one? I mean, that's, again, in an ideal world.
And I agree, but I also know that they can put in, different type of employment contracts that may say that if you would like to be a part of their staffing agency. So we'll see how she does with that.
Well, and we're going to get into it later, of course, because we have to update everybody on the wonderful goings-on here in Colorado. But I've taken so much heat about, with Amendment 64 and the support, and now what we're doing about the employment issue. The amendment left employment rights alone. Kimberly Ryan, who I've come to really admire and love what she's doing on her work group, brought up this issue, and it was rejected, and she ended up doing the minority report, and they continued on with the status quo. And I think, here in Colorado, we legalized. So, again, I'm getting to a point, I promise. I think this will lead to litigation because, it should be treated like alcohol, and it's not. We don't test for alcohol. So what should happen with cannabis now is we shouldn't test for cannabis. It should just be a non-issue. If you use cannabis on the weekend, if you use cannabis at night, I'll throw it out there until they can prove impairment if I use cannabis before I come on the radio. All right, I'll squash that one right there. In Oregon, this is promising. I'm a big fan of this. I think one of the biggest things that came out of 64 for me personally was the folks that fell through the cracks with medical, the people who suffer from, say, anxiety or, in this case, PTSD. Out in Oregon, it looks like they're going to throw that on their list out there. I know we've tried here. We had a couple people on that worked on that. I'd love to see us do that eventually. I guess now it's kind of a moot point because they can get it anyway. But it's just reassuring to see people picking up on this. I mean, the science, if you look at Israel, they've been giving their troops cannabis for a while now.
Israel's on top of it.
Well, they are. I sit in these work groups and I hear all this reefer madness still about no science, but Israel's been doing it. Their government for a while, for well over a decade now, they've been studying cannabis. So it's ridiculous. Anyway, we're running out of time as always. I'm running through news. We've got a group here. And it sounds like it's nationwide, and I'm going to bring you in on this and tell me yes or no. Project Sam, that's nationwide, right? Yeah. It sounds like they're really ramping up efforts in lieu of our victories. And, I see this now with our implementation process. We have, and for lack of a better term, sore losers. And I'm going to talk about this because there are, for the most part, we've done great. We've come to common grounds. But I think nationwide, what we're seeing is a lot of backpedaling, a lot of clawing and scratching and biting. People are scared. They're scared of a plant. They know that it's coming. They know the dominoes are falling. I mean, our first two stories, it's like every week there's a new state with legislation. So there's going to be the hardcore, I think it's the Union where they go into Kentucky. It's one of the biggest domestic grow areas in our country. And they interview the cop who's cutting down the plants. And he makes the comment that as long as I live and breathe, we'll never legalize marijuana. There are people like that out there.
Oh, there are. And they drive around their cars and yeehaw and shoot guns.
We live in Colorado where we're not, but it's very easy to get in a bubble. Especially in our industry when you get busy. I see all of you guys. You guys are a friendly crowd. I'm not hanging out with the other side, obviously. So, I guess sometimes I like to read this news just to give myself a reality check as to how good we have it. So we're actually out of time almost. We got to take a commercial. I'm not going to do corrupt cops. We'll try to get to those later. I will say it was kind of a slow week for the corrupt police in America. Come on, guys. I know you're out there.
Well, we did burn a man alive in L.A., didn't we?
Ooh, I missed.
Didn't the cops do that?
I don't know. I missed that one.
Ooh.
Maybe we'll research that
An
one and
ex-cop?
talk about it.
Really? Well, his
Man or woman, you
his
still shouldn't
ID
burn
survived
people,
the
Sam.
fire, so... Yeah.
So we're going to go pay some bills, and then when we come back, we've got Mr. Mason Tavert with us here. Mason, I'm going to call him the face man of the campaign to regulate marijuana. I use that word very hard. That's a hard word for me to say. Marijuana like alcohol, and we'll be right back. Stick with us on Overgrow the Radio. Peace.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Independent Records and Videos has been your locally owned and operated choice for music, movies, and lifestyle accessories since 1978. Independent Records and Videos has 7 locations from Denver to Colorado Springs to Pueblo to serve your entertainment needs. Whether it's vinyl, CDs, DVDs, books, smoking accessories, or hundreds of other fun and fanciful items, Independent is ready and waiting to make your dreams come true. We are always buying, selling, and trading vinyl, CDs, books, and DVDs, so sell yours and buy ours. Independent Records and Videos, your entertainment headquarters. Check us out at beindependent.com or on Facebook.
Indispensary in Colorado Springs is proud to support Overgrow the Radio. With 2 locations in Colorado Springs, Indispensary invites you to discover what true selection and values feel like. Always featuring an incredible array of Stanley Brothers medicine as well as full line of edible and infused products. Indispensary is open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week, 364 days a year. You owe it to your health and well-being to discover Indispensary. Westside location at 3044 West Colorado and Eastside location at 3031 East Platte in Colorado Springs. Indispensary is your destination for indispensable quality medicine.
This is Jessica Asplund with the Crested Butte Wellness Center in the Craig Apothecary. I'd like to invite you into either of our locations to see the difference compassion makes. With everything from sublingual tablets, gluten-free products, and a growing variety of edibles, there is sure to be something right for everyone. We carry only top-shelf organically grown cannabis at affordable prices for everyone. Stop in and see us at our Crested Butte location at 329 Bellevue Avenue or at our Craig location at 611 Breeze Street.
Green Monster Glass, a full selection of glass and glass accessories, as well as all of your smoking needs. Stock your dispensary or smoke shop with reasonably priced glass from Green Monster Glass. Green Monster Glass is locally owned and operated. Find us on Facebook or call Daryl at 719-217-5380. That's 719-217-5380. Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
Oh, we're back on Overgrow the Radio. Hello, Miss Jessica.
Hello.
Commercial breaks sometimes go quicker, and I don't get to talk as much as I want. I don't get to ramble with you guys.
Oh.
Because we tell secrets when we don't have viewers, so... We're honored and lucky to have back in studio. See, I told you, studio, Mr. Mason Tavert. How are you, sir?
I'm great, thanks.
Oh, yeah, we almost heard you, but you're still great.
I'm great. Yeah,
cool.
My mic wasn't great. I'm great now.
Right on, brother. I think the last time you were in was quite a ways before even the election. I think it was maybe October, August through October, somewhere in there. So it's been a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I was in here in this studio recording some ads here and there. But in terms of doing any of the shows, it's been a while.
We were, we didn't really publicize that, but we were very honored to help out the campaign.
It was incredibly appreciated. Very, very helpful.
And anytime our producers can get their work immortalized, they love it.
It's a solid portfolio builder.
Exactly.
Historic winning campaign, radio ads.
What other 20-year-old do you know, a college student who can say he worked for ads for the campaign, first ever campaign that legalized cannabis? So first and foremost, I called you as we went out to commercial, kind of the face man, if you will, of the campaign. You were definitely all over. Did a great job articulating yourself and the campaign, a great representative of the campaign. We have a gift for you from Overgrow the Radio because, well, it's legal to do this now. So it's wrapped in our finest, iCannabis Radio wrapping paper, and it's not to be consumed before you drive, of course.
Thank you very much.
My wonderful producer made us some brownies for the evening, so... It is a cannabis brownie, and now anyone over 21 can legally
it is legal
hand
product
another person
without remuneration.
Absolutely. So how's it feel, first off? Now that everything's... I know you're not done. We're going to get into that, but to get Colorado done.
It's been a while coming, but, ultimately things haven't really slowed down or changed all that much. I mean... it's just a new stage, a new round of the same game, if you will.
Your life hasn't really stopped yet. I mean,
fortunately,
for me, a long time, and not that I was very involved. I mean, I did what I could for you guys in the time I had. But for me, it was very surreal for a while. I mean, has it really sunk in for you that you guys legalized the first place ever? You were the people to do that?
I hate to say, yeah. I mean, I don't like to say it does. It didn't. I wasn't elated. I mean, I was, but it was just another part of things continuing to move. I mean, so it's certainly great, and it changes the landscape and changes the nature of the game in this state. It's I don't know. It's not as insanely crazy as I expected maybe it would be several years ago. It's, kind of one of those things where it's gradual to a point where it's just not, it's like, if you don't see someone in 10 years and you see them and they've gained 50 pounds, like you're surprised. But if you're like with them for those 5 years, you just don't really notice it changing. Absolutely.
I'm getting kind of chunky. I got to watch that.
Yeah, right.
Well, and just to back you up, sort of, my philosophy is, for me, it was huge to live here, to do things for you guys. But at the same time, like I founded Overgrow, so I've always been focused on the bigger picture. This is one state. As I mentioned in the news, there's definitely the ripple effect. But, I mean, is that kind of the way that you see things? I mean, this is just a stepping stone to where we have to be eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was really huge, and obviously it's an incredible part of it. One of the biggest outcomes, of course, is that, marijuana is now legal for adults here. We won't see people getting arrested for simple possession. People can now grow in their homes, all that stuff. We're establishing a regulated system. That's all great. For me, it's, the bigger thing is that is the impact that this has had more broadly around the country. I mean, for me, the most important day of the campaign, like my busiest day was election day and election night. And the next 2 days after, I was busier than I was before because that was the most important time to talk about what just happened in a way that would be beneficial as millions and millions and millions of people are now hearing about what happened. So, I think this is really just the beginning in some ways.
Absolutely. And I guess I sort of didn't give you the proper introduction this evening. First, congratulations. You actually...
Thank you.
You took away a pretty prestigious position from the campaign. What's your new title? I know what it is, but I'll just let you tell our viewers.
I'm now the Director of Communications for the Marijuana Policy Project, which is a national organization that has been really pushing for most of the state law changes that have occurred in the last 12 years. And I'm still based here in Colorado, but we are working all over the place, including still here in Colorado.
And let's talk about MPP for a minute, because I've told you, I love you guys. It's always been sort of behind the scenes because we started as a little bit of a fringe rally in D.C. And you guys have always been there. Phone call away if I need logistics or anything, help finding speakers, that type of thing. And I've always admired your work. And I have no problem saying this on the air. With Corporate Normal, I love a lot of their chapters. I love most of the people involved in Normal. But with Corporate Normal, I've always looked at them and wondered what it really was that they did. Now, when you look at MPP, there is no wondering. You guys are in the halls of Congress every day doing what a lot of us in the community and in the industry won't do. I'm learning, as you can tell. Since the last time you had you on, my hair's gotten shorter. And, well, hell, you even saw me in a suit the other day.
I did. It was
I don't think you recognized me.
I didn't. I walked right past you, and I had to do the old, like the double take.
It's going over pretty well.
The ladies love it.
Well, a well-dressed, sharp-dressed man.
All those women on the task force are just like kind of
eyeing
you across the table.
Maybe that's why I get along with the right wingers.
Hey.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a lady that she God bless her, it's just on the other side of things. We'll just put it that way. To be fair, and her and I, we have a great rapport. We can have a conversation, but when it comes down to the issue, we should probably walk away. And task force wise, which we'll touch on with you a little bit before we're done with the segment, it's refreshing when that can happen anywhere, but especially with what we're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a great relationship with our Attorney General, John Suthers, who was our biggest opponent back in 2006, and for several years this year, or last year, 2012, what have you, he really wasn't too involved, and I think he was just basically sick of dealing with the issue. But he's had me come speak to his law school class at DU for the last 6 years, I think, and has nothing but really positive things to say about me. And I respect, that. I mean, with him, obviously we differ on the issue, but he'll always say, I think there are good arguments in support of making marijuana legal. I think there's a lot of valid points. I think that, on both sides, I happen to come down on this side. So I've always, appreciated that. But what I really do appreciate is that I think he truly is opposed to, he truly thinks marijuana is a really bad thing, whereas there are certainly elected officials out there who don't, but act as if they do and oppose it, whereas he honestly does think it's, gonna hurt people. So at least he's saying what he truly believes.
And I think one of my biggest frustrations, I'm the same way. To back myself up to Occupy, a lot of people patted me on the back for winning over conservatives. There was, with Occupy, it was everyone, but not everyone realized that, and a lot of the conservative radio show hosts were really bashing us. So I went on like Jeff Crank and Richard Randall and those guys and kind of changed some hearts and minds, if you will. So I respect that. It's hard work sometimes. We got to take another commercial in just a minute, but before we do, I'll ask you, because it's like hitting a brick wall. So one of my brick walls that I've been running up against, not my work group, but one of the other ones, that literally yesterday I gave him one of the MPP You Can Overdose on Tap Water stickers, if you've seen those. And it's Christian Thurstone. Mm-hmm. So I just have to ask you, in your opinion, you know both, who would be more receptive and open to cannabis legalization?
Between him
and John Suthers.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think either of them will ever be supportive of it. I think Christian Thurstone potentially would, I think they're both in the same place where they'll be against it. I think Christian Thurstone will be still against it, but wanting to now deal with how to prevent teen use or what have you now that it's legal. And quite frankly, I think John Suthers will want to, now that it's legal, deal with ensuring the law is being followed and, potentially even defending the state against the federal government should that happen. I mean, I truly do think that John Suthers will be that kind of, I hope he will. I don't know that he will, but I feel like he would be the one that's like, well, listen, the law passed, so now it's my job to handle this. And I hope that's what will happen.
Well, and I think we have to get the bug in his ear that it's a 10th Amendment, which you've got it covered. But, the 10th Amendment argument, it's a states' rights issue. I mean, if it's not directly governed by the U.S. Constitution, then it's our problem. It's not the Fed's problem.
State sovereignty, right?
Absolutely. So we're going to go pay more bills. I would go with John Suthers over Christian Thurstone because as we go out, I'll tell you, every meeting they have, he brings his army in to go for public comment and tell us how cannabis kills children. So for the last 2 meetings that I've been to of theirs, if there's a real issue, I'm not going to waste my time on him. I'll premise it with that. But the last 2 meetings have went fairly smooth. I haven't felt like I needed to address anything in public comment. So both meetings, the one before, they've both been geared around labeling and protecting our children from this horrible non-toxic plant, neuroprotectant non-toxic plant. But anyway. So this past meeting, I went up for public comment, and I said, I hate the fact that I have to waste my 2 minutes counteracting the reefer madness up here, and I addressed him personally. I said, Mr. Thurstone, I would appreciate it if you
that's
would...
Dr. Thurstone?
Actually, I did say doctor.
It'd be funny if you said that.
Right. I told him, I'd appreciate you not bringing your army in every week to tell us how bad cannabis is. I think the voters have already decided that. So I walked over and gave him a sticker, and the crowd loved it. Everyone cheered and laughed. And then I spent the 2 minutes basically running down the list of everything that his speakers had said and countering it with what the truth is.
With common sense.
Absolutely.
Science.
So that's what we all got to do. Keep listening, and hopefully we'll give you the tools to do so. We'll be right back on iCannabisRadio.com.
This is Jessica Asplund with the Crested Butte Wellness Center in the Craig Apothecary. I'd like to invite you into either of our locations to see the difference compassion makes. With everything from sublingual tablets, gluten-free products, and a growing variety of edibles, there is sure to be something right for everyone. We carry only top-shelf, organically grown cannabis at affordable prices for everyone. Stop in and see us at our Crested Butte location at 329 Bellevue Avenue or at our Craig location at 611 Breeze Street.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley Brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
Green Monster Glass, a full selection of glass and glass accessories, as well as all of your smoking needs. Stock your dispensary or smoke shop with reasonably priced glass from Green Monster Glass. Green Monster Glass is locally owned and operated. Find us on Facebook or call Daryl at 719-217-5380. That's 719-217-5380.
Independent Records and Videos has been your locally owned and operated choice for music, movies, and lifestyle accessories since 1978. Independent Records and Videos has 7 locations from Denver to Colorado Springs to Pueblo to serve your entertainment needs. Whether it's vinyl, CDs, DVDs, books, smoking accessories, or hundreds of other fun and fanciful items, Independent is ready and waiting to make your dreams come true. We are always buying, selling, and trading vinyl, CDs, books, and DVDs, so sell yours and buy ours. Independent Records and Videos, your entertainment headquarters. Check us out at beindependent.com or on Facebook.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Welcome back to Overgrow the Radio.
You did awesome. You didn't fumble, stumble, or mumble or anything. Did you like that? That was a little poem. Welcome back. We're joined, for the first part of our show with Mr. Tavert, that used to be from the campaign to regulate marijuana. You love how I pause every time I say that, like alcohol. But now he is the director of communications for, I will say, the greatest, how do I phrase this properly? The greatest big organization nationwide.
Most effective, I think, is maybe
I love it. Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I wanted to talk about that before we go on to anything else, is the reason I admire you guys so much. Like I said, you guys are in D.C. You're based in D.C. Was that the origination of MPP?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they started. Tell us the history a little bit. Do you know the start?
Yeah, the executive director, Rob Campia, he used to work for Normal back in the 90s. I mean, sure. he went to jail or prison. I mean, I think jail, but for a year or more for cultivation when he was in college. And he got out, and then he started working for Normal, and then he left Normal and with a couple other guys started the Marijuana Policy Project, which was, is actually very similar to how when I started Safer here in Colorado, it was a couple guys working out of their house. And, they started getting some smaller things done and, slowly building supporters and then, unearthing some donors. And then that's really where you're able to start building and getting, more things done. So it's actually, it's pretty impressive how far it's come to the point where now there's, work going on in states around the country and in Congress. There's a PAC that's giving money to candidates at the state and federal levels, playing the game. It's really a pretty impressive organization overall. It's definitely a change for me. I mean, I'm used to doing, whatever I want and having no real oversight.
Well, and I would say, I mean, with MPP, they definitely, you guys do the groundwork, always have, in my opinion. I knew sort of the general history, if you will. Didn't know the specifics. I knew that Rob had gotten in trouble, and that was where it arose, if you will, and split from Normal. But anyway, you guys, we were talking in the break. I'm sitting on one of the work groups, continuing your process, if you will, and there's a lot of stuff that you don't see until you're a part of it. And that's the kind of thing that not every person could deal with. I know I have my challenges. I consider myself to be a very patient person and diplomatic to a point. I'm not going to lie. I have an abrasive side when need be. I think that's sometimes needed in our industry especially. And, that's a big thing I've always admired about you guys is really I consider MPP to be the lobbyist for our industry. There's individuals sprinkled throughout the country now that do lobbying work, if you will. I call myself a free lobbyist because I don't have the badge or the paycheck to go with, but we all to a certain extent are doing it. But that's what you guys are doing, and I kind of wanted you to just elaborate on that so folks, because I encourage people all the time to donate to you guys, and people like to know that their money's going to someone who's actually doing something. We talked, to segue in, we talked in the news about some states that were legalizing. You guys are a part of that?
We're working in several states, and generally the structure of MPP is, there are legislative analysts. There's a few of them that each handle certain. The states are all divided up amongst 3 or 4 people that they're overseeing, and then there are a few target states that are really where we're pushing and where local lobbyists have been hired, or we're helping local activist groups, providing them with some funding so that they can be doing stuff, and then of course there are folks in my department now, communications, which are doing media outreach and online outreach and public education type stuff. And then, of course, there's federal lobbying. In terms of states, the biggest things happening in the immediate future, there's a bill in Rhode Island to, it's very similar to Amendment 64 in terms of regulating marijuana like alcohol. That was just introduced. And that, Rhode Island is probably the legislature. That would be the state most likely to legalize first via the legislature. The next one is most likely Maine. Maine is definitely picking up. There's going to be a bill introduced there very shortly. And fortunately, Maine actually has a ballot initiative process as well. So if the legislature does not do this in the next year or two, then we do intend to run a ballot initiative there in 2016. Hopefully, we'll see a ballot initiative in 2014 in Alaska. They only allow initiatives in off years during primaries, so that would be in 14. It's a very interesting scene out there, obviously.
Now, is that a side note? Is that like with our initiatives? We obviously don't have any rules like that. Can we only do ours in election years?
No. Well,
I'm sorry, 4-year cycle.
No, you can run ballot initiatives here. I'm fairly certain anytime because we ran one in 2006. You can definitely do it in midterm elections. When it comes, I think in odd years you can only do tax issues. Might be the case.
Okay.
I think.
See, I'm learning.
But there's and there's crazy. I mean, when it comes to you can't really complain necessarily because we have an initiative process. It could be worse.
Sure.
They're always under attack, and there's some states out there with really wacky shit. I mean, where they require you to collect signatures proportionally amongst every congressional district. And it's like, well, the people out in congressional district number 3 are not as supportive as in other parts of the state, and they kind of hold up everything, like stuff like that. So that's really frustrating. But yeah, so Alaska, and then in terms of other state legislators, there's bills in, by when all is said and done, there will be more than 20 states that have bills introduced this session. The ones that are the most likely to see success are medical marijuana in New Hampshire, where it passed last year, and then the governor vetoed it. There's now a new governor, and she's made some very positive. She's been outspoken, quite frankly, in her support for medical marijuana. In Vermont, there will be a decriminalization measure that hopefully will pass. Governor Pete Shumlin there. Hopefully, he's always been a very vocal supporter of reform, and so we are very hopeful there. Illinois, you mentioned Illinois, and it's been a long process, but we expect to hopefully see it here this year or next year, if not this year. New York is another one that hopefully we'll see here very soon. So there's a lot of them.
So give us it's my home state. I'm going to pry a little bit. I want some insider information. I've gotten some hints from other people that there's definitely in Illinois a huge shift in. We all know that the folks with the money and the interest groups control things. That's the way our politics work. That's why everyone hates our government. But I've heard that there's a huge shift in those groups in Illinois towards legalization or towards medical, not legalization. Have you seen that at all?
What groups?
I don't know specifics.
Generally. Well, there's been a lot of, I can't, I'm not, because I've just really gotten into this stuff in Illinois. The session's just getting started and things in Illinois aren't really quite moving yet. They have a 2-year legislative session, so that means things kind of take longer than usual. But, things in the legislature are weird because they don't necessarily, you could have a majority of support, but that doesn't mean anything will happen, because if you have one committee chair who doesn't like it and won't let it come up for a vote or won't give it a hearing, you're screwed, and it's really frustrating. So, I've always worked on ballot initiatives, so it's a very new situation for me. But Illinois is definitely very, very promising, and so hopefully we'll see that. But, there's just a slew of other places where this is, some of them aren't going to pass anytime soon in all likelihood. There's medical marijuana bills in North Carolina and Texas and Oklahoma, and, there's Iowa. There's decriminalization measures just all over the place. Indiana. I mean, it's really pretty amazing how much is going on.
Sure. Absolutely. It's funny, we have people here, Maryland, Illinois.
Maryland's a potential.
Yeah, they're correcting you, by the way, pointing out that we missed Maryland.
Well, yeah, no, Maryland's certainly one where there's a decriminalization measure that actually just got brought forward. There's also there's a couple medical marijuana measures. There's one that would extend an affirmative defense to caregivers. Right now in Maryland, what they have is an affirmative defense just for patients. So if you get busted and you get arrested, you can go to court, and if you can prove that the marijuana you were using was for medical purposes, then you can get off.
It's a start.
So now, it's something. So now there's a bill that would extend that also to caregivers, and then there's also a bill to establish a regulated system of medical marijuana, and then there's also a decriminalization bill to reduce penalties just for any adult possession. So there's definitely things going on there.
And Maryland's a tough state. One of my exes actually had a really long relationship with was from Maryland, so I spent a lot of time out there. And the police out there don't like cannabis. Mm-hmm. I promise you that. I hope the attitude's changing, but this has been, I'm old. It's been 6 years ago or so. Yeah, when we used to go out there, her friends, obviously I bought black market cannabis because I still had back pain. And, her friends were scared to death. It was one of those states. Like, you don't say the word cannabis out loud. It's hard to believe there's still places like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a very new thing for a lot of people, or at least a different thing. Oklahoma, I mean, this is, it's also interesting because, I think there's definitely... Being an MPP, there's, now that there are working on so many states, you have to obviously spend a lot of work on those where you can actually pass something this year or next year. And perhaps there aren't as many resources to put towards states like Oklahoma or like, Maryland's probably a much, much, much better one, but Oklahoma or Kansas or Texas or, Mississippi. But, I personally prefer working like on those states, and I've made it a point with all those bills that are being introduced to be trying to push media, because you're never going to see people change out there unless they're hearing about it.
Absolutely.
So I've been able to be in the news on TV in Oklahoma. I'm big in Oklahoma now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you buy a cowboy hat to make those appearances?
I think it might be literally now infamous. So I'm not going to Oklahoma anytime soon.
Right. Yeah.
I think that you'll have a pretty good pull in Texas. A lot of people that have second homes in Crested Butte, which is the majority of the population, the year-round population is like 1,400. Mm-hmm. So they're mostly second homeowners from Texas. Mm-hmm. And at my center, I would get like 30 or more people a day, an insane influx of people, tourists from Texas coming in, wanting to know how they can get marijuana, when they can get it, where, and if that's something that'll come to Texas. And, I had actually given someone who cultivates their own in Texas that book, and I told them to read that and talk about why it's safer with their friends and family. And the only way to make a change is to be the voice of that. Mm-hmm. That's the only way things will change. So I think you'll have a good chance in Texas.
Well, and I would be in trouble if I didn't ask you your thoughts on North Carolina. One of my board members lives there, and she's very involved in the campaign, Rebecca Forbes. You've maybe heard her name. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys are involved at all there. But.
There's fortunately there's a lot of great local activists. That's my understanding in North Carolina. I think there's a very strong normal group there. I've heard. So we're very careful not to really try to jump in when there are good people doing things, and we try to help when that's something that's possible. For example, in Hawaii, I mean, there's like more than it's like 23 marijuana bills that were brought forward this year. And,
Nice.
A ton of them are like little changes to medical marijuana, like little things here and there. Some of them, there was a tax and regulation bill brought forward by the House Speaker, which just got tabled a couple days ago. And so that's not going to go anywhere this year. But there's decriminalization, but there's a great, the Drug Policy Forum of Hawaii and the ACLU out there are working on this, and they have very great people working on it. So, we try to help them get media coverage, but it's their show. We're working with local activists, in Rhode Island when it comes to things that are really hardcore medical marijuana things. For example, the whole petitioning to reschedule. ASA, Americans for Safe Access, has been working on that, and it just makes no sense to try to double our efforts on it when someone else is handling it. So,
to give you guys more kudos, MPP as an organization, that's, with Overgrow, we were like 3 people, had an idea, and it just grew through Facebook. And this was back when Facebook was huge in the beginning of it.
Yeah, Facebook.
My phone's telling me it's time to do my radio show. Do you think it's a little late? It's a good thing my alarm's on time. Time to go do radio, dummy. All right. So, you guys, I admire that. You're not, I'm the same way. I do the DC thing. I don't speak there. I'm not that guy. I like to be behind the scenes. I like to plan it. I like to help people. That's huge. There's so much. I'm taking a risk in saying this, but in my opinion, a lot of the infighting everywhere, California, here, any state that's dealing with these issues, comes from wanting to be the name or the face. And I don't respect that. I don't get it. I don't gel with it. And you guys are not that. You guys, just as you said, without even saying it, you do what you can to help people.
Yeah, but it's a balance. If I said that, like, we didn't want to be the ones quoted in a story about, the bills introduced in Congress last week, I'd be lying. We do, and it's a balance. To do this kind of work, to help other people and localities do this kind of work, you have to raise money.
Oh, absolutely.
And to raise money, you have to show that you're doing things. And to show that you're doing things, you have to be in the news, So it's definitely different. And this is the case with every single issue out there. You look at the Humane Society and PETA. Mm-hmm. You look at NARAL and Planned Parenthood. This is just everywhere. And it's always going to be the case. And obviously, you try to make an effort to work together. And that was one of the best things about Amendment 64 was, everyone came together at the very beginning. When we drafted the initiative, we took 6 months, and we had leaders from MPP, from NORML, from the Drug Policy Alliance, from Students for Sensible Drug Policy, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. We got feedback from all the local trade associations for the industry, business owners, to the extent we could. We got we put ads in magazines saying just send us your comments. We really just did whatever we could. We went to people who were like, hey, we're going to ask you if you'll support this in 6 months. Like, what do you think now? We'll show you the initiative. We really just did everything possible. And I think it was a huge benefit. Whereas like in California in 2010, they really just put an initiative together and started going. And then they asked people to jump on board. And a lot of people were like, well, we don't like the way the initiative's written, and those issues weren't hashed out ahead of time. So it's definitely a better way to go about things.
Well, I say it all the time. Colorado, both with medical and now recreational, I believe that we, no one's ever done this. I'll just premise that. So we're going to make mistakes. This is not going to be perfect. But I think that we, so far along the way, have been the model to follow.
Oh, yeah.
By far. For the biggest reason in my mind is federal intervention. You don't see that here, and there's a reason. People bitch about our regulations. People, bitch, I just want to free the weed, quote unquote. Well, go to California and live there as a patient for a while, or better yet, go open
Nevada or Michigan or Oregon or Washington,
where the feds are still breaking down doors and doing that, and it's just, moving forward with all these states, I hope that they all take a hard look at what we're doing now and what we've done. I hope that we continue in a good direction. Again, I give you kudos. We're going to run out of time here in just a few, but I want to couple, different topics before we get out of here. Well, you said you were busy, so you haven't been able to keep up on our work group stuff.
I mean, I'm generally,
Somewhat.
Hearing everything that's going on, but I'm not, attending all of these meetings. I mean, we have folks in our office that I work very closely with. Christian Cederberg is the campaign representative. He's the head of one of the work groups, and is doing this day in and day out. Josh Capel, who's been with Sensible Colorado, and he's been dealing with this type of regulatory stuff, particularly the local issues, for the last number of years. Obviously Brian Vicente, Joe Megacy, who's doing lobbying for us. These guys are just there every day, and it's just not my job anymore. And I mean, I certainly want to follow it, but it's like trying to keep up with it is really insane. And that started before this work group stuff. I mean, if you've got a Google alert set for Colorado marijuana, as I have for the last 8 years, it's pretty fucking crazy. I mean, the number of news stories. And that's why when these, people come out and say, well, voters didn't know that this was going on. It's insane, because I am quite confident. I mean, I would, I'm not a betting person, but I would put down probably one of the heavier bets I would ever otherwise on the fact that there's been more media coverage, television, radio, and print of this public policy issue than any other public policy issue. Without a doubt, in the last 5 years.
I mean, I know just the council down south, not even being an official part of the campaign, we were in the media and we were neutral. I mean, just people coming to us, getting our opinions. We never took an official stance. We all had our opinions, but being an industry group,
Denver being the first city in the world that made marijuana legal in 2005, a statewide initiative in 2006, Denver passing another initiative in 2007. It's just and then being the first place in the world to regulate the regulated cultivation and sale of marijuana for medical. I mean, to say that people didn't know it was happening, like they are walking around Denver seeing like big green, crosses, and they're like, I don't even know what that is. Like, it's insane. And
I love Denver. I was just talking to someone the other day, at one of the meetings about how here in Denver, one of the first times I came up for an event at Castleman's, you medicate outside there. And our next guest, I was actually hanging out with him smoking, and I look over and there's 2 uniformed cops standing beside me. And I thought, oh, fuck, I'm going to get in trouble. They don't say anything. It's Denver. Deal. Nobody cares. But it's different. You go to Colorado Springs, and that's not the case. I don't know that they're okay with that down there.
Yeah.
So before we go, I have to ask if you took a vacation at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, the week and a half following the election was definitely, one of the busiest weeks I've had in the last couple of years. And then I did get to go to Europe for a couple of weeks. Went out to Amsterdam for Canvas Cup. High Times took me out there, which was pretty sweet. So I got to check that out, and then, took it upon myself to take advantage of the free flight, and went to a couple other cities. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very good, sir. Oh, one more question, and then we're going to let you go home and relax, because I know you're a busy man. You've been to all these cool places. All you guys have done so much media, been on all these different shows and whatnot. I have to ask you what your favorite interview has been so far.
Oh, well, it's, Overgrow the Radio.
Absolutely.
By far.
And, of course, who has the best green room in the world?
Overgrow the Radio. I mean, this root beer is phenomenal. I'm being handed, free shadily wrapped products. It's definitely a treat.
That's in our exit packaging for childproof. Yeah. I'm sorry, our childproof exit packaging. Yeah. Packaging. I said that backwards. Absolutely. So, Mason, thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to hang out and chat and share, bounce things off each other. We'll get you back in soon and get an update on what you guys are up to.
Sounds good. Thanks again for having me.
Absolutely. Real quick before we go, before I let you go, shout out your web address. We've got a guy asking if he can get involved through the website. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. The easiest way is just mpp.org, or you can go to marijuanapolicy.org, either of those, mpp.org.
I'm not sure how, but that first hour flew, and now it's time to take our little break to go get my back right, because that's what we do here on Overgrow the Radio. We'll be right back. Love you. Peace.
Independent Records and Videos has been your locally owned and operated choice for music, movies, and lifestyle accessories since 1978. Independent Records and Videos has 7 locations from Denver to Colorado Springs to Pueblo to serve your entertainment needs. Whether it's vinyl, CDs, DVDs, books, smoking accessories, or hundreds of other fun and fanciful items, Independent is ready and waiting to make your dreams come true. We are always buying, selling, and trading vinyl, CDs, books, and DVDs, so sell yours and buy ours. Independent Records and Videos, your entertainment headquarters. Check us out at beindependent.com or on Facebook.
The law offices of Etzen, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188, or visit us online at warrenetzen.com.
Interested in the amazing benefits of CBD? Check out Dixie X Hemp CBD Wellness Products at www.dixiex.com.
This is Jessica Asplund with the Crested Butte Wellness Center in the Craig Apothecary. I'd like to invite you into either of our locations to see the difference compassion makes. With everything from sublingual tablets, gluten-free products, and a growing variety of edibles, there is sure to be something right for everyone. We carry only top-shelf organically grown cannabis at affordable prices for everyone. Stop in and see us at our Crested Butte location at 329 Bellevue Avenue or at our Craig location at 611 Breeze Street.
Green Monster Glass, a full selection of glass and glass accessories, as well as all of your smoking needs. Stock your dispensary or smoke shop with reasonably priced glass from Green Monster Glass. Green Monster Glass is locally owned and operated. Find us on Facebook or call Daryl at 719-217-5380. That's 719-217-5380. Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
This is Jessica Asplund with the Crested Butte Wellness Center in the Craig Apothecary. I'd like to invite you into either of our locations to see the difference compassion makes. With everything from sublingual tablets, gluten-free products, and a growing variety of edibles, there is sure to be something right for everyone. We carry only top-shelf organically grown cannabis at affordable prices for everyone. Stop in and see us at our Crested Butte location at 329 Bellevue Avenue or at our Craig location at 611 Breeze Street.
The law offices of Etzen, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188, or visit us online at warrenetzen.com.
Independent Records and Videos has been your locally owned and operated choice for music, movies, and lifestyle accessories since 1978. Independent Records and Videos has 7 locations from Denver to Colorado Springs to Pueblo to serve your entertainment needs. Whether it's vinyl, CDs, DVDs, books, smoking accessories, or hundreds of other fun and fanciful items, Independent is ready and waiting to make your dreams come true. We are always buying, selling, and trading vinyl, CDs, books, and DVDs, so sell yours and buy ours. Independent Records and Videos, your entertainment headquarters. Check us out at beindependent.com or on Facebook.
Dixie Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com. Interested in the amazing benefits of CBD? Check out Dixie X Hemp CBD Wellness Products at www.dixiex.com.
Green Monster Glass, A full selection of glass and glass accessories, as well as all of your smoking needs. Stock your dispensary or smoke shop with reasonably priced glass from Green Monster Glass. Green Monster Glass is locally owned and operated. Find us on Facebook or call Daryl at 719-217-5380. That's 719-217-5380.
Sam's bringing us back in with all this like heavy metal stuff. It's making me want to like get in a mosh pit like I'm back in the 90s. Woohoo! Welcome back. Hi, Miss Jessica.
Hello.
I haven't really come up with a radio name for you yet, so whenever you're here, I'll have to think of something.
Like a moniker.
Exactly. Our next in-studio guest is here, but before we talk to him, I think we have someone on the phone. And before we get to him really quickly, I'm going to run through our sponsors. As you guys just heard, Green Monster Glass. He was actually here in studio tonight, came and said hi. He's up in Denver a lot. I think he's expanding up here. If you're a dispensary owner and need some reasonably priced glass, get a hold of him. Dixie Elixir. Dixie's great. They've got all kinds of great products. DixieElixir.com. Check them out. In Dispensary. Owner of that place, I consider to be family. She's been guiding me a little bit here and there in the last few weeks through the process I'm working on. I encourage everyone to check out In Dispensary and Independent Records both. And let's see, Crested Butte Wellness. I don't know anything about that place. Do you want to tell us about that place?
Yeah, Crested Butte Wellness Center is located in Crested Butte, Colorado. Up there in a nice, cozy, I know, go figure, right? Up in a nice, cozy little old mining town. It's absolutely beautiful. You want a nice day away? Check it out.
I will come up there.
Come on, the first is Real Vibrations.
So you know how like when you're a little kid, there's words you just can't say?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should rename your Craig facility because I can't say it. I make my producer
Apothecary.
say. Exactly, and I try to put apothecary. It's an easy enough word.
But
when I go to say it, I always put an extra syllable in there.
Apothecary.
Exactly.
I'm like, no, it's no.
And last but not least, actually, he's on the phone with us. I think we have a new sponsor, Delta 9. Are you there, sir?
Yep.
Hello. Tell us about your company. Who are you? What do you do?
I know.
Well, we're Delta 9 Genetics, and we just relocated from San Francisco to the Denver area, and our goal pretty much is to provide Colorado patients with the best cannabis genetics that we possibly can find. We've spent quite a lot of time collecting our genetics, and we do believe that they are some of the most elite around. So.
Well, you happen to have a dispensary owner sitting here, so you guys, I just hooked her up with another sponsor tonight. So it's cool how everyone networks and we all end up working together and loving each other and all that stuff.
Pretty awesome thing.
So I want to first off welcome you to the family and thank you for your support. Our sponsors are the way that we make radio here every week. I hope you caught some of the show. Our first hour was pretty awesome. It was nice to have Mason back in. So, you guys, how long were you in San Fran before you came out?
We opened in 2011 on Haight Street.
Nice.
And did pretty well for ourselves in California, and we actually still operate in California as well now, and plan to continue that, and hope to, gain the same exposure here in Colorado that we have in California.
Well, we welcome you to California. We welcome you to California.
Where are we?
Absolutely. I have no idea. I think I'm a mile high. Stupid brownies. So we welcome you to Colorado, obviously. I just wanted to throw in, I think it's a much prettier state. Our mountains, I will say the John Muir Trail is amazing. Anyone who ever gets the chance to go walk down that, it's a few hundred miles, so if you've got some time to kill, unbelievable. So, what are your plans here? What do you guys? What do you want to get out there to folks?
Well, as of right now, we are also offering extraction services and edibles as well. We do all of our extraction services with BHO. We've been doing all of our testing through Herbal Synergy and getting some really great results. and seems like things are going pretty well with that so far. So outside of just the genetics, I mean, we also offer a full line of edibles and extractions and services to extract other people as well. So that's what we were hoping to accomplish here in Colorado, is to help anyone and everyone to gain the best extracts, edibles, and genetics that we think are around.
Nice. Well, it's perfectly legal for me to say this. I was waiting on my caregiver, so I saw you, and you actually threw me a little sample, if you will. And
yeah.
Dude, kudos. It was nice.
Thank you.
No. I was going to follow that up with giving him some hell that I didn't get to try any of his extracts.
Oh.
So
well, you will definitely be getting some of those as well. So
that's why we love our sponsors, because we spoil each other. So, man, is there anything else you want to throw in? We're always, we're going to do a short segment, and I'll just plug you that you're going to be in for a show in a couple of weeks, and then you may come in for a little monthly segment to talk genetics and what we've got going on. So, is there anything else
I'm very excited about that. I would like to say that we have a booth March 23rd in LA at the Secret Cup, and we have a couple entries in that. And we will also have a booth at the High Times Cup here in Denver in April. So, if not before, definitely come check us out at one of those events.
Nice, absolutely, brother. Well, and we'll see you in person here in, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
Again, welcome aboard. I'm glad we could get you on the air for a little bit tonight. We didn't get your commercial in time, so this is, you just got more than, like, Jessica pays. You just got her whole month's worth of commercials in one shot.
Well, I definitely appreciate it, and I'm very happy to be a part of things, and I look forward to being in studio and sitting down and talking some science behind all this.
Absolutely, brother, and I promise next time I won't have to run out the door in 2 minutes for some crazy meeting. So
hey, no worries. And I definitely appreciate it, and like I say, anything we can do for anyone, please check us out, www.delta9genetics.com.
I'll
right
check
on,
you out.
sir.
Yeah.
You got your first client right there. So we'll talk to you soon, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Right on, sir. Later.
Take care.
So real quick before we bring in our next guest, we didn't talk this week about task force happenings. There are some things going through that are good. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail because I've done this every week. It's going good. I think in a lot of aspects, there is an effort in a lot of these groups to try to recriminalize cannabis, to take away the rights of 64. And really, we're in the home stretch, if you will. It's this week and next week are the work group meetings. Then we have to submit all of our recommendations to the task force. Then it goes to the legislature, and God only knows, it could stay the same or it could be completely different. They could do whatever they want. So, it is what it is. There's definitely some people sprinkled in, myself included, who are busting our ass to protect your rights, and will continue to do so. I'm going to self-promote a little bit that, I'm proposing something on Friday, and I'm not going to talk about it yet, but I'm going to say that it's working to clarify some stuff with the bans, so again, protecting your rights. But, I encourage everybody to come out. If you're in the Denver area, hell, if you're in Colorado and this affects you and you've got a day to make a drive, come out, because public comment, if nothing else, it's on the record. When the legislature goes back, if they want to look at that, it's there. 1144 Sherman Street, 1:30 to 3. It's the Colorado Municipal League, and it's a really nice place with comfy chairs. So come, make sure you put on a tie, like our next guest. He's a perfect example of the way you should dress. So stay tuned while I introduce Mr. Jason Love. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Thank you very much for having me here.
You didn't like my GQ comment?
I did. I thought that was very polite of you. I was just shaking my head because I'm impressed. I'm looking at a guy who has cut his hair recently too.
Yes, I did.
You've gone through a transformation.
Sometimes
with that Abercrombie and Fitch sweater from
The thrift shop.
The thrift shop.
Hell yeah,
I appreciate
dog.
that.
Yeah. I'm still a hippie. That doesn't go away. Yeah, I've talked. I think last week I talked about the fact that someone told me to go check out suits at the thrift shop, and I had forgotten all about how cool thrift shops were.
Oh, they're the best.
And you can buy like new clothes. All you have to do is have a little time to kill to actually put the effort into it.
Awesome caricatures too.
Yes.
Little figurines.
Yeah. Lately, like I need to do that. I haven't had time. My schedule starts literally at 7 a.m. and goes till about 9 p.m. So I moved up here to Denver. Yeah, right. For a disabled dude, you know how that is. I moved to Denver, and I haven't had time at all to do anything like find furniture. I'm living.
You move, find furniture?
I'm living like a 20-year-old. It's crazy.
Hey.
So I'm gonna let this smart aleck talk a little bit.
So what are we doing? What do you want to know today? I was kind of curious.
Well,
there's a lot to talk about, of course, and I could sit here for hours and hours and hours. But
you and I always have a lot to talk about.
Even if we start to narrow this down to hemp, we could still be here for days.
Oh God, yeah, dude. Well, first, let me give you kudos because a lot of people don't even know you actually wrote the first hemp bill. You actually legalized the first cannabis anything here in Colorado. What's up with that?
So you're referring to HB 1099, the bill that we passed last year. You're right. A lot of people are not aware that the state of Colorado actually has a legal industrial hemp program that is currently active. And that was signed by Governor Hickenlooper on June 4th of last year, which happened to be the first day of Hemp History Week of last year, which is kind of fun. That said, we are currently growing hemp in contaminated soil samples. And we're seeing that the data is revealing that various things are absorbed, in small quantities, some in very large quantities. And these things normally would kill plants. And so it's fascinating to see what we've seen so far, but we also have thousands of data points that we're looking at in the future. This is going to take years of research. What this bill really entails, and it's titled the Industrial Hemp Remediation Pilot Program. And essentially that's the foundation for where we are today, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But we're interested in how hemp can clean the soil, water, and air. We know it can. We see that, for example, there are indications that it can reduce, uptake heavy metal contaminants such as uranium or plutonium, and we see these coming from areas like Chernobyl. And so 25 years ago or so, Chernobyl collapsed and exploded, was out of control. And they have since planted hemp there. Now, unfortunately, a lot of that data has disappeared. The political climate has changed in Kiev and that area multiple times. And so since then, we've come across other data, whether it's from other places around the world or even here in our own country. We're seeing other indications from other contaminants being absorbed. And so we hope to prove that maybe pharmaceuticals can be absorbed from the water. Maybe the salinity level in farmers' soil can be reduced. Actually, we are starting to see some of those indications.
That's one I think we sort of already knew that one, right?
That's a big one.
To get into the far back history.
So that actually comes hemp. That original data, that recent data. Not going back thousands of years.
Back, what am I?
Well, we can go back thousands of years too. But in the recent data, Chris Boucher, who grew industrial hemp in the Imperial Valley in California in 1994, started to demonstrate these things. And there's some other data that we've come across as well from other places. Unfortunately, the state shut that program down, even though it was approved by the USDA and the state at the time.
I didn't know that.
There's some interesting history out there. I had the opportunity to meet Chris Boucher. He actually came to one of the A64 task force meetings a couple of weeks ago. I want to say almost a month ago, actually. So anyway, coming back to the legislation, this program is basically demonstrating these properties. Now, that said, we still don't know much about what can grow in the state of Colorado, let alone the United States, because we haven't grown here in 50 years.
Sure.
And Piedmont and the Kentucky strains are gone. Unless some farmer out there, maybe you have a test tube or one of these jars. I'll hold this up. I don't know if you can see this on the camera.
That's actually a valid request. We were a couple weeks ago.
It is a valid request, actually. Real quick, this jar is why I bring this up. Somebody may have one of these jars sitting around. And if it has seeds in it, I encourage you to please reach out to any of the hemp industry association, Vote Hemp, Hemp Cleans, whatever you want to reach out to. But if you have one of these, you may have a very helpful tool in moving forward with what we're progressing with.
Well, I was going to throw in a couple weeks ago, I told a short story about how when I was a kid, I detasseled corn. And literally at the end of almost every row, there were these 10-foot, what we thought were marijuana plants, cannabis plants. And it was hemp. So that's a very valid, there's
You probably
farmers,
got a headache after trying to smoke
Oh,
it,
absolutely.
didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, we smoked the shit out of it.
I knew you did.
We filled up our lunch bags that our moms packed for us with it and took it all home.
So I hope everyone's hearing that, because you will get a headache.
Absolutely.
And no high.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Don't
farmers
smoke it.
out there listening, though, I know my grandmother's boyfriend, which is kind of a funny way to say that, but he's a farmer, and he still cuts hemp down every year. So I'm sure that's got to grow wild somewhere.
Well, it's something that a lot of people actually like to leave in place because it acts as a buffer crop for the fields. And so over-nutrified water runoff, for example, a lot of that can be absorbed by the hemp boundary plant instead of running into our water systems and creating eutrophication and dead zone, for example, downstream. So the hemp plant has been left in certain places. For example, in Nebraska and Kansas, from a hunting perspective, I see a larger population of pheasant because they've left all that in place. And so the pheasant now can access the seed above the snow line and have food, whereas in Colorado, we've eradicated it. So we don't have that large pheasant population, even though you walk right across that border and there they are.
Well, and again, I can add that it's funny. There's a guy in our chat room from Champaign. I grew up about an hour from there, and in Illinois. And he's saying that hemp grows outside of his town. And you mentioned pheasants. I hunted, funny hippie, gun-carrying hippie, but I did. I grew up hunting, and there's a cutoff line for pheasants. And it's absolutely, where the mountains start, where the fields end.
Yep.
And I bet that plays a little bit into that.
There's a lot of
factor.
history about that, actually, we can get into. But what I'd like to really share with you to get back to the foundation of where we're at, number one, we need everybody to become participants, in the dialogue of what's going on. It doesn't matter if you're buying Dr. Bronner's Magic Soap, for example, from the supermarket. You can find these kinds of products on your shelves at Whole Foods or Vitamin Cottage. And this has been around in our country for about 4 generations. It's made out of hemp oil as well. And I think it's important to, if you know about these things, to stop with your cashier, stop with the checkout person, stop with your veterinarian and chat with them. Hey, I use hemp soap on my dog when he gets dirty and he doesn't have those itchy scratches, or scratchy itches, if you want to say. And talk about those really basic things. You don't have to get into it uses this much water every, whatever. But talk about what you do know. Just start that conversation about hemp. And in saying that, if you can, write a letter to your legislative body. Let them know that you buy these products, and that you already have access to these things.
Well, we're the biggest consumers of hemp, being the U.S. in the world, and we can't grow it.
We're the only one that doesn't produce it in the first world. Yeah.
So that's literally a billion, if not more, $1 trillion industry.
Currently, right now, let's see. Last year was about $450 million on the retail end.
Sure.
What we're looking at, however, is a niche market, and what I mean by that is there are some clothes out there. Every once in a while you can find those, but the soaps, the foods, Nativa and Living Harvest and all the other companies that are out there that make hemp protein or hemp hearts or hemp milk, hemp ice cream. You can actually find hemp ice cream, for example, here in Colorado. Is that it's still on that hippie thing. I hate to say it that way, and I don't mean to use that in a derogatory way, is that it's still a niche market, and I'll say that in a better way. This is still a trades market, if you will. Only recently have we seen people like, what's that guy? It's got a TV show, Doctor something or other. Anyway,
Oz.
Yeah.
Somebody.
You know, they all. I don't watch
Mainstream.
TV, but mainstream. Thank you. Mainstream is a better way to say that. Is that they are talking about hemp and for nutritional purposes. They're not making fun of it anymore. And a fun thing I do with the Dr. Bronner soap, for example, is I go to dispensaries and they have trimmers and they have sticky hands with resin. You know, of course, that's not a big problem in other states. It's an interesting problem to have here. This soap takes it right off. And so a lot of companies were using caustic things or toxic things that they were probably not supposed to be using because it just took it off. So anyway, what I see happening is as I've traveled around presenting as a lot of other countries refer to it, the Colorado Project, and presenting what we've been doing over the last few months in the state of Colorado. When I went to Canada, for example, I had the opportunity to talk about the project, and they also had the opportunity to learn about the other side of the fence.
Sure.
We know about hempcrete, but we very few of us have seen an OSB kind of material. And this is a herd plywood, if you will.
Yeah, I was gonna say if our not HD cameras aren't showing it,
Yeah,
it's like
right.
particle board based.
Hold that still.
Particle board, is that what they call
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
And this one's going to be hard to discern, but it's essentially a tile material. I don't know if you can hear that.
Nice.
And this stuff is really durable, and we can use these for ceiling tile, floor tile, not necessarily the specific one, but so on and so forth. I do also have a sample of what people normally would call hempcrete. Now, there are a lot of variations out there of these materials. I can go down the list of companies that make fabrics and so on and so forth. One of them actually is in Colorado here. Enviro Textiles is specifically related to where we're at. There are a lot of variations, and there's still a lot of research and development that needs to be done. Now, let me come back to what's actually happening in the state of Colorado. So since we passed HB 12-1099 last year, a lot has changed. Amendment 64 is a big one. And in that, it states that by 2014, that the state will implement regulatory system for industrial hemp. It doesn't say it's legal. It doesn't say anything really, except for here's a definition of industrial hemp, and yes, you have to do these things by then. So what we've been doing is creating, and we were doing this anyway before Amendment 64 passed. We didn't know if it was going to pass or not.
Sure.
But we were working on the industrial hemp bill itself, the complete bill. So the pilot program was the start, and then the regulatory system as well. So currently we've been working with Senator Schwartz, Sonnenberg, Representative Sonnenberg, Fisher, Quorum, and the list goes on of many, many supporters. And we've drafted a bill that basically says you can grow hemp. There are registration processes in there, but there's no, it's not like the medical marijuana system. Let me just say it that way.
Well, and I just want to cut in really quickly and thank you, because as a work group member, it's been brought up in all of our groups if we should address hemp, and we get to say, nope, it's being addressed. We don't have to deal with it. That's one less issue on our plate.
So I'm glad you're saying that, because we actually, that's something that's come up, and we have been dialoguing with the subgroups, and I'm glad that that's been a part of the conversation, because it's also been a conversation from the politician side in the sort of hallway conversations. And what has happened is that from our perspective, and when I say our, it's our team, it's not me doing this by myself. It's a whole team of people, and we are known by Hemp Cleans. We're non-for-profit, and we are a group of engineers, of communications professionals, of government people, I'll say it that way, that now understand the reality.
I always
of how
knew
this
you were a
works.
Fed. Is that what you're doing right now? Are you coming out?
No.
It's infiltrated
I
successfully.
don't mean to come across that way.
So, well, I was called that at we had a station meeting last night, and I came in my suit, which I actually have been taking off the last 2 weeks for radio. I get over it. But I came in and was totally called a Fed, told I was coming out.
It's fun to throw those words around, right?
Yeah, it's...
You never know who your neighbor is, and I think you
don't.
should get to know who your neighbor is. You know,
Absolutely.
Take that in a positive sense.
Yeah.
So, what is interesting though is the task force decided to vote on what they were going to do with industrial hemp. Now, let me clarify this for everybody. Our government is not permissive, okay? This is something that you can step up to and engage in. And so because I have been participating, and I know a lot of people participate. I'm not saying I and isolating myself, saying I'm doing this by myself. Everybody does I on their own. We together have now created the foundation for industrial hemp. Now, what I mean to bring up in that is the task force is not a ruling body, okay? They don't override what we've been doing with industrial hemp pilot program, and they're not going to override what we've been doing to develop the bill currently. Now, that said, there is, in my opinion, a level of respect and being polite, if you will, in working with the government. And so we've petitioned, if you will, or sent a letter, I'll say it simply, to say, yes, we've been working on this, and we ask that you acknowledge that. We actually have received a letter saying that, yes, we acknowledge that you are working on the hemp stuff.
Good.
And they acknowledge it's separate. This is huge.
That is good.
So we have support, I'll say, from what I see every entity we need support from, which is everybody. That includes Colorado State Police. It includes agricultural representation from Farmers Bureau, Farmers Union, the farmers themselves. The list goes on. I can't list everybody off, obviously.
You know, in working in the process lately, too, with in an indirect way with you, sort of, I guess, it's been refreshing to see the government officials and the police that vote on our side and take up our issues with a lot of the things being addressed. I think we're definitely seeing a change of climate all the way around.
I'm going to have to say that I see it in you too, because honestly, simply cutting your hair, I have to say that even though some people may say to me, you know, you're putting a penguin suit on to play a game, it doesn't matter. It's about respect.
Absolutely.
And I am willing to pay respect on some level. It depends on what we're engaging in. But in the terms of our government, I'm willing to pay respect and honor the system that we have in front of us. And if that means putting on a suit and tie, which is, yes, it's something that should be done in my mind, then so be it. I will do that. I'm not telling you to do it. You don't have to do it.
Oh, you don't have to tell me, dude. I'm in one.
No, I'm not you yourself. I'm saying, anybody else listening out there.
I know.
Compromise.
Absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, it's absolutely okay, and it's unfortunate in the same breath that people do judge you a book by its cover. They judge you by your appearance.
You know what I'm going to say though about that is that it evens the playing field.
Well,
because then I'm not trying
to.
Even though yes, there are better suits than others and whatever. But it really does equalize everything. It's almost like putting a robe on in terms of, say, the days of
wig and
Greek
robe
politicians, if you will, or the wig and robe in our country, or the robe still in our country in terms of judges. It's about presenting an image that you represent. It's not you yourself, but it's the message you carry. And so when I go and I testify, it's not about me. It's not about my personal beliefs. It's about the message I'm carrying. And so Why is hemp happening so fast? It's not anything I did, anything special I did. I'm learning from so many other people behind me. Jack Herr is a big one. But that said, hundreds, if not thousands of people have done so much to pave the way for where we're at today. And this follows with cannabis and everything else, anything in life for that matter, right?
Well, and the other point to make is that you and I and everyone involved in this whole process are representing our state, the voters of our state.
Absolutely.
I mean, they voted for hemp just as much as they did cannabis.
Absolutely. And I have to pay respect to everybody who voted for this. And to support what we're doing, continually support what we're doing, because we still have a lot of work to do, And if you can help out economically, please help us with donations. I know my personal friends know my story and what I'm willing to do to make sure that this is passed. I don't have funding. I don't have a trust fund account. I spent all my savings on Cannabis Health News when I was doing that. And hopefully that gets revived too. But I rely on everybody out there, the $5, for example, or the $10, for example, that someone just gave me in the hallway. And that's something I keep reminding everybody. This is not about a big corporation driving any of this. This is about you as Americans participating in our system and making this happen. We can bring industry back to our country. We can bring economy and the finances back into line, if you will. But we can also allow people to work in a place that they want to work in. Jobs can be brought back to communities. When I've been traveling around this state alone, I am shocked at what I see. I see towns that used to be vibrant and they're dead.
Oh, yeah. This will help to stimulate the economy moving forward. With hemp is another good way to build jobs, boost our economy, and to also help the earth, make it a healthier environment for everyone. But the biggest thing is this will help the economy, and that's good for Colorado. And why should lawmakers and bad policy continue to stand in the way of that? So it's nice to know you're being acknowledged, things are moving forward, and I see it gaining momentum. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, when there's 35,000 uses for a plant and it's it's fiber and it's cellulose,
don't limit
estimation. Right. Estimation. I threw that disclaimer. It's really, really exciting. Speaking of exciting, our sponsors are exciting, and they like when we promote them a little bit. So we're going to do that real quick.
Dixie's
we'll be right back on Overgrow the Radio. Peace.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Indispensary in Colorado Springs is proud to support Overgrow the Radio. With 2 locations in Colorado Springs, Indispensary invites you to discover what true selection and values feel like. Always featuring an incredible array of Stanley Brothers medicine as well as full line of edible and infused products. Indispensary is open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week, 364 days a year. You owe it to your health and well-being to discover Indispensary. Westside location at 3044 West Colorado and Eastside location at 3031 East Platte in Colorado Springs. Indispensary is your destination for indispensable quality medicine.
That Mad Hatter Smoke Shop has everything from space glass to butane and butane accessories, I tell you what. Located at 6091 West Colfax in Lakewood and now at 2615 Walnut Street in Denver. Ah! God damn it, Reclaim, put your pants back.
Green Monster Glass, a full selection of glass and glass accessories, as well as all of your smoking needs. Stock your dispensary or smoke shop with reasonably priced glass from Green Monster Glass. Green Monster Glass is locally owned and operated. Find us on Facebook or call Daryl at 719-217-5380. That's 719-217-5380.
Dixie Elixirs, the patient's choice for alternative medical marijuana treatment, brings you Dixie Botanicals all-natural topical therapy, including massage oil, pain relief salve, and our newest product, Dixie Botanicals Pain Relief Lotion. This all-natural lotion pairs beautifully with Dixie Botanicals bath salt for a deeply relaxing experience with no psychotropic effect. Like us on Facebook, Dixie Elixirs, or join us at www.dixieelixirs.com.
This is Jessica Asplund with the Crested Butte Wellness Center in the Craig Apothecary. I'd like to invite you into either of our locations to see the difference compassion makes. With everything from sublingual tablets, gluten-free products, and a growing variety of edibles, there is sure to be something right for everyone. We carry only top-shelf, organically grown cannabis at affordable prices for everyone. Stop in and see us at our Crested Butte location at 329 Bellevue Avenue or at our Craig location at 611 Breeze Street.
Welcome back to Overgrow the Radio. I was just saying that I have to cut out of here at 9 pretty sharp tonight because tomorrow, again, is a huge day for our work group. I encourage you, if you're in the Denver area, 1144 Sherman, dress nicely. Come and say intelligent words to our chairs. They gave the impression last week at our meeting that we don't need to address the bans and give guidance on bans. And I disagree.
From a hemp side, I'm really concerned that, and this hasn't happened yet. Well, wait a minute. Don't jump down my throat. I may be wrong. But we need to be careful that hemp is not included in these bans if this can happen. I know cannabis shouldn't be, but let's be careful. Oh, dude, thank you.
I just made a donation to Jason's.
It's raining. Hemp Cleans has just received another $20 donation from Stickman.
No, that's from Overgrow the Radio.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, so
we should talk about Overgrow.
Yeah, well, Overgrow, we've got a rally coming up in D.C. You're still a board member, even though he doesn't come to our conference calls because he doesn't like. Well, maybe
I knocked myself out in April, folks.
Yeah. Jason's taking a bit of a hiatus, and your focus is well intended right now. You're focusing on what you need.
So
to be
here's something
on.
I want to just throw at you real quick, just to throw some fun little factoids out there. But hemp is on the International Space Station. So a lot of people know that hemp seed is very nutritious. And so hemp seed is in a cereal. I'm not sure if they actually have the cereal package up there labeled Holy Crap. But Holy Crap is actually the name of the cereal. You can get it here.
That does not sound good.
At holycrap.ca. I'm not plugging that company. I'm just trying to make you laugh. And it's real. It's something that you can talk to your kids about. Why is hemp seed on the International Space Station? Does it get those astronauts high? Obviously not. They're high enough. So I think we need to really think about we need to think about these real conversations. And actually, it is about the kids, folks. We need to educate them. And if we teach them, like I have with my son, that hemp is a medicine, hemp is a food, fuel, fiber, and a filter, folks. Sorry, so many F words in there. And they're all good ones, too. It's rare that you hear that, right? So
you're on the internet. You can use those F words.
I did. I
Clean or dirty.
All 4 or 5 of them. So
very bad.
What I'm asking here, though, is think about those words. They go bigger than just the word itself. The filter doesn't have to be just for water or soil or air. Take that further, folks. I'm asking you to be inventive. Where we're at right now is a brand new industry. Just like hemp is in the International Space Station, how did we know in 1962 or 65, whatever year you want to pick before we went up there, how did we know you were going to even have an International Space Station opportunity? Put that in your mindset. Mm-hmm. Think the impossible because it can become possible. Mm-hmm. I really am so honored, really, to be part of the team that's helping put together the draft of the Colorado Industrial Hemp Bill. I feel honored to be part of the bill we did last year with Representative McKinley. But honestly, I have to tell you this. It's because I dream the impossible. I see a hempy world.
I like that train of thought. I mean, that's, I say all the time and repeat myself. I do that on a lot of stuff. But, I started as a hempster, as a lot of us did. I found cannabis as medicine. I found cannabis as recreational, something to use recreationally. But in the beginning, I was a hempster. I ran across Jack's book. God, when did it come out? 90, help me.
I'm sorry, I should know that,
not
folks.
90, but 80s.
I'll blame my head.
Anyway, I was pretty young when it came out, and I actually saw it on a friend of mine's table. You know, town stoner type person, you know, small town. He had that label, but he had all this literature that I had never read, being in this small conservative town, and that was one of the books. And it was the way that it was written, I think, appealed to me as a younger reader, because there are a lot of captions and, you know, different things, and it makes it interesting. And it's so factual, and you know, as you mentioned earlier, Jack Harrer did so much for the cause. And
I have to say that again, though. Thank you so much to Jack, because honestly, I don't think many of us would be where we are today.
Absolutely, he was out there in your face, and you know, that's to an extent that's what it takes.
When you know something that's so important, you have to get in people's faces.
Well, and the thing with that, Jay, is, you know, I take a lot of heat right now with some things that I do in our process we're working on, as I'm sure you do.
Yeah, and I won't give you that heat.
As we were talking earlier, you know, that you dress the part, you're respectful, and you're diplomatic. But, you know, there's times where, when you have that passion, you have to take that stand because you know it's right. And not in an aggressive or offensive way, but just... there's no more negotiating. You know what's right, and you have to act on morals.
We're right, they're wrong. This
Get
is
over
Patriot
it.
Radio. Sorry.
So, yeah, not to get too libertarian
Not that
right
I
there.
listened to that.
I do have an issue before we run out of time that I want to ask you about. And I think it's a fairly valid concern. There are studies out there that show both ways.
The pollen's coming.
Cross-pollination, you got it. You know, we do have a lot of grows here in Colorado, and some of them are outdoors. You know, I know, I'll just throw it in and cut this part out. The indoor grows are much less likely with good filtration
All
to be
right,
affected.
so you want me to answer this question in a nutshell?
Yes.
Because you're asking, what do we do about the pollination of industrial hemp on...
Killing my medicine.
It's not going to.
Okay.
And here's why.
Explain me.
You guys have taken so many steps and done so much to get this far. What's it going to take to put a HEPA filter on your intake and make sure you have positive pressure on your garden? If you're growing in a greenhouse outside, same thing applies. It'll still work. Mm-hmm. If you're growing outside, we are hopefully going to announce the pollen plume, and you can take measures to protect your personal crops.
Right.
Now, on that note, I'm going to say this, and I know I may get flack for this. I know we're going to see outdoor grows for the adult use. Obviously, because the market's going to be larger, cheaper bud, faster production, larger quantities, whatever. My personal opinion doesn't matter. And if you want, you can ask me about that. But my other personal opinion does matter, I think. And I think that is the plant that's cared for, the small grow that's cared for, produces, that I've seen, and I think a lot of caregivers out there will agree, they produce some of the best quality cannabis that I've ever come across.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
When the scale grows, there are changes that take place. We know that.
Right.
You don't have the time to sit there and sing to each plant and play piano. No, I'm
you
just
don't? Caress it. We actually know, we know, well, probably more than one, but I know a grower in the Springs who absolutely does that, talks to his plants and plays music.
Some
for
people
them.
say that that's the secret life of plants kind of concept, which
I love
that story, or that book, and I think you guys should read it or see the movie online. But the other side to it is that it's argued that all you're really doing is expelling more CO2. And what is the plant like? More CO2.
Well, absolutely, and I'll expand and just say that as with everything I do in life, you have to look at the bigger picture to this and the benefits to hemp. And I think, especially here in Colorado, we have very limited farmland in the first place. Once you get up into the mountains, I mean, it's the eastern plains. We have to deal with climate. We have to deal with soil conditions or lack thereof. And then, once you get in the mountains, you can pretty much write off farming because there's like 6 inches of soil is the average. So that's, it is what it is. Now, granted, hemp would probably grow in that because it's pretty much a miracle weed, but anyway, bigger picture, the thing of it is I don't see, there are a lot of medical grows, but that being said, there's, in the grand scheme, there's not. They're condensed. A lot of them are close to metro areas or, small towns.
Yeah.
And not in areas really that are farmed. I mean, it's not like you drive to the eastern plains and run across a bunch of medical grows. They're just not there. And a lot of those counties out that way banned them anyway, so they can't be there. So I really don't see, even if the studies say 9 to 10 miles, on average, with a downwind, it could go
7 miles
up
is
to
what we were
20
talking about on average.
as the extreme. I'm talking, extremes. And even with that, like figure that out. I mean, I used to ride my bicycle from my hometown to the next town, and that was a pretty good distance. I mean, like 7-8 miles. That's they're not going to be that close, I guess, is my point. It's different zoning, it's different terrain. It's just not.
I think we're
an
getting
issue.
ahead of the game, and honestly, it probably won't be much of an issue.
Right.
This is kind of getting ahead of the horse or cart or whatever,
I
which
like
is actually
that.
okay in certain situations.
I like that. What is that?
Well, I want to say first that we have some very important people that have helped our founding fathers, I should say, of this country that have really helped give us a foundation for where we are today. And Franklin, for example, said it's the responsibility of every citizen to question authority. And I'm holding this up because this is a coin. This is actually it's the sativa, if I remember right, that a friend came up with this idea while he was doing time in prison for cannabis-related so-called crimes.
That's too many do.
This is an ounce of silver. It doesn't matter really what it is. It's what it represents. And the back is really kind of neat. It actually has the quote on the back. And I'm showing this not as a sales pitch, but what I'm saying here is it is your responsibility to question authority. And I'm not saying argue and yell, but question them.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them if they're thinking the right way. So DUID bill, all right? This one I'm going to show also because this ties to the DUID bill. Lincoln stated, "Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves." The DUID bill is an attempt to deny certain people their freedom. It's based
All
on
cannabis
nonsense, non-science, okay? What we're really looking at, and I'll talk about phrasing the question, the 5 nanogram is a number that's pulled out of a hat. If we start to look at the equivalency of impairment of alcohol, for example, at the 0.8 blood alcohol content, then what is the equivalent impairment level of cannabis that demonstrates a similar level of impairment?
We don't have it.
No.
I'm not going to answer that question. I'm asking you to go look for that.
Somebody, please find
Show
that number.
me that number. If you show me that number
Science,
and
let's
you
do
can
it.
show me it's peer-reviewed data, thank you. Then you've answered my question. But until I see that, nothing is rational that's being presented.
Assumptions.
Absolutely, sir. And I'm going to end. I'm going to follow you on that note and end with that. But real quick before I rant, tell us your
That's
website.
my rant.
Tell us your website.
So this is our team's website. It's a non-for-profit. It's hempcleans.com, HEMPCLEANS.
And someone just asked in the chat if I gave you a 20 for a dab because they heard a clicker and then saw me throw a 20.
I have not done a dab. No, I don't do dabs.
I'm not selling drugs or buying
Here.
drugs.
Sorry.
Which cannabis here really isn't a drug anymore. So
I'm not doing dabs here.
It's still illegal to buy from person to person. That was totally me donating to the hemp organization, and I encourage you to do the same. To hit on the DUID thing really quickly, as a patient who needs a higher dosage for my pain that I live with 24/7, what this does is basically criminalizes anyone who uses cannabis. And you don't even have to use cannabis in the same day to be a criminal. I don't think that's what people understand. You can keep 5 nanograms in your system for quite a while. I jokingly say it, but it's probably true that I wake up with 10 to 15 nanograms in my blood every day before I even medicate. I use tears or realm oil. I hate when I do that. Very concentrated oil for my pain. And there you go. I don't have to medicate to have it in my blood all the time. So absolutely, I just want to back up what you're saying. As a member of the Colorado Springs Medical Cannabis Council, I know we have always, and I'm sure we will always, take a very hard-line stance against anything per se until we have the science there to back it.
Let me share something with you on that note.
Sure.
And this is directly related to the DUID thing. And I encourage all of you to take what I'm about to say and make it your own. Spread this information. This is not directly from me. This is from this source. And we'll say Dr. Robert Melamede in this case. Medical marijuana users are likely to always fall within the 5 nanogram limit THC while being less likely to be impaired than an infrequent recreational user. In other words, the 5 nanogram limit will frequently result in the arrest and prosecution of innocent people, especially people who are ill. If a 5 nanogram limit is implemented, only people pulled over for impaired driving should be tested for drug and alcohol levels. If this suggestion were implemented, only drivers who demonstrated a likelihood of impairment would be tested. Innocent people would not be arrested because their blood didn't conform to a nonsensical limit put in place by legislators, feeling compelled to do something even if it makes no sense. Nonsense, no science. Let's not continue to promote the injustices of prohibition. Let's develop science-based drug policies that have a chance of promoting social sanity on this issue.
And that's why we love Dr. Bob. And just to clarify, Dr. Robert Melamede is a tenured professor at UCCS in Colorado Springs. One of the foremost cannabis researchers in the world, I would say. And he actually studies cannabis on a biomolecular level. So who better to address the blood alcohol content level than a biomolecular science who's done it for decades?
Sociologists back this up. Insurance companies back this up, folks. David Reese from the University of Denver has demonstrated that we are seeing a decrease of 11 to 14% in fatal DUI accidents, alcohol-related.
Absolutely.
The Germans, and I can't remember where the study exactly came from, but there's an indication we could see up to 25% decrease.
Sure.
And if you are somebody who doesn't care about marijuana or is against it, I hope you love your family members because they may be killed in a DUI, with alcohol tonight.
Yeah,
and that could be reduced.
I don't know the statistic, but DUIs are very frequent. And I think it'll be interesting. We do have to get out of here, but I think it'll be interesting down the road in 10 years to see what legalization does, because it's a fact that people, when cannabis is available, they choose that over alcohol.
I tell you, we're not going to be running around with flowers in our hair and wearing skirts.
Right, yeah. Well, it's been here for 13 years. I mean, it's not that way now. There's plenty of yuppies, and it's not all hippies and naked people. So anyway, on a party note, thank you, Jason, for being in. And again, I encourage everybody to visit his website and make a donation. You really kind of said what I was going to say about following up there, expanding. But I want to encourage people, even in states where it's really scary to get out and say words like hemp and cannabis, that's what it takes not to make it really scary.
It was scary
so
to
I
fight the
repeat
American
this a lot as
Revolution.
my parting words, but you have to get out there and educate. Next week, we're joined by Mr. Trip Kieber again from Dixie Elixir. It's that time of the month for him to come in and goof off. And actually, I'm really excited that Chris Matz, one of our resident attorneys, if you will, here in our studio, he'll be in to talk DUID, speaking of that. So it'll be a fun night, and it'll be an informative night, and make sure to tune in every Thursday night and every other night of the week for all of the other great shows on iCannabis Radio.
Thanks, Dick.
Love you. Peace.
Independent Records and Videos has been your locally owned and operated choice for music, movies, and lifestyle accessories since 1978. Independent Records and Videos has 7 locations from Denver to Colorado Springs to Pueblo to serve your entertainment needs. Whether it's vinyl, CDs, DVDs, books, smoking accessories, or hundreds of other fun and fanciful items, Independent is ready and waiting to make your dreams come true. We are always buying, selling, and trading vinyl, CDs, books, and DVDs, so sell yours and buy ours. Independent Records and Videos, your entertainment headquarters. Check us out at beindependent.com or on Facebook.
In Dispensary in Colorado Springs is proud to support Overgrow the Radio. With 2 locations in Colorado Springs, In Dispensary invites you to discover what true selection and values feel like. Always featuring an incredible array of Stanley Brothers medicine as well as full line of edible and infused products. In Dispensary is open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week, 364 days a year. You owe it to your health and well-being to discover In Dispensary. West Side location at 3044 West Colorado and East Side location at 3031 East Platte in Colorado Springs. In Dispensary is your destination for indispensable quality medicine.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
That Mad Hatter Smoke Shop has everything from space glass to butane and butane accessories, I tell you what. Located at 6091 West Colfax in Lakewood and now at 2615 Walnut Street in Denver. Ah! God damn it, Reclaim, put your pants back on.
This is Jessica Asplund with the Crested Butte Wellness Center in the Craig Apothecary. I'd like to invite you into either of our locations to see the difference compassion makes. With everything from sublingual tablets, gluten-free products, and a growing variety of edibles, there is sure to be something right for everyone. We carry only top-shelf, organically grown cannabis at affordable prices for everyone. Stop in and see us at our Crested Butte location at 329 Bellevue Avenue or at our Craig location at 611 Breeze Street.
Interested in the amazing benefits of CBD? Check out Dixie X Hemp CBD Wellness Products at www.dixiex.com.